What makes a person instantly unlikable? Failing to recognize or admit when they are wrong. Being a know-it-all. To start, I'm the first to admit I'm wrong. You can check my posts on Reddit. I'm often wrong. I'm not smart, but I'm a know-it-all. Always have been. I don't even mean to be. I simply just remember crap I read. I have a wide range of interests and most people don't spend the kind of time I do, being as well read as I am. I had a friend literally buy the first iPhone so that he could fact check me when I would BS at parties. I remember the first time he did this, he got very upset he couldn't prove me wrong with any great detail, that he started calling BS over minute detail. His name was John, not Jack. Do you even know what you are talking about? I was talking about John Dillinger escaping from prison. Then he would turn around and try to make claims that were untrue. So I asked for his iPhone and I started fact checking him. It didn't go over well. We aren't friends anymore. Since then I've gotten older and wiser. I do find it irritating that most people nowadays pretend to be know-it-alls that can't admit to being wrong. That is why, even if I think I'm right, when someone says that I'm wrong, I accept it. I could be wrong. So later, I will look up what it was so that I can fix my mistake. When I'm wrong, I will point it out and admit my mistakes. The reason is when someone is adamant that I'm wrong or have made a mistake, it causes a dispute. Especially if I know for a fact they are wrong. I'll let them be wrong and will say something like, "Yep, maybe I don't know. You could be right." Or, "Oh really? I had no idea. That's interesting." It's way better than ruining a party or destroying the mood because of my pride being hurt. They interrupt others when they are speaking and change the subject to a topic of interest to them. Worse is the people who never stop talking to the point where the only way to get a word in is to interrupt them and then they just talk louder over you. Fuck those people. Oh god. I just got a new employee and she does this. It's so bad I go out of my way to avoid her. She holds you captive as a listener. In her mind she probably feels like people are constantly interrupting her, but it's because she never shuts the fuck up. Asking you a question, not listening to your answer. There's something really demoralizing about someone asking how you're doing and then interrupting you in the middle of your answer. And then they say sorry, but you can tell they really don't give a fuck. Constantly talking about themselves and how great they are. That's cool and all, but I would never do this. I'm simply too humble and kind and amazing and smart that I would never act arrogantly. Humility. I like it. I, too, am extraordinarily humble. I personally hate people who seem to have to one-up every story they hear. It only bothers me when they start telling lies. If you're telling a story of a related event that actually happened to you, then you're just trying to be part of the conversation. If I rode my bike 10 miles yesterday, and you rode it 20, and you can't tell me where, or anything about your bike, fuck off. I do this. I'm not intentionally trying to one-up. I'm just trying to tell a relevant experience I have also had. I just have a lot of stories. So everyone accuses me of trying to one-up them. I'm just trying to participate in the conversation. As long as you're not afraid to one down yourself as well, then yes, you're just eager to share. I would say a selfish and egocentric attitude, but I had a classmate in a group project we had that the others gravitated towards for some reason. Their followers. Man. One of my old friends definitely felt he was the dominant friend in the friend group. Now when I think of him, I feel like he reminds me of a cult leader, and I was entranced in that manner. Buying too much toilet paper and sanitizer. Came here for the toilet paper comment and stayed for the sanitizer. And also has too much bottled water at home. And my axe. Edgelord's hot only weapon is stories that one-up someone else's story. Pizza cutter people. All edge. No point. I'm gonna start using that. People who test others. How fucking dare they? I used to have a friend who would be horrible and push people away just to see who cared enough to stay. No one cared enough. She lost all her friends. She was a terrible person and not worth putting up with the BS. To me, people who lie for fun, not just the messing with your friends type of lie, but trying to get people they don't really know, or even total strangers, to believe something that's just not true. Never really figured out why people do that. Maybe leading random people down the rabbit hole is entertaining somehow. There were 2 people like that in my school. One of them came up with some new BS story every week. We either humored him or asked him to prove it, which he claimed he could and would the next day after he'd gone home to get proof, and he'd come in and never mention it. He never mentioned any of his lies twice and denied everything if we ever brought them up later. The other one seldom told lies like that, but he told big ass lies and kept them going for weeks. For example, he told us that his sister had written and published a book. There is no record of this book, nor any record of any book having been written by his sister. He also told us that this same sister was in a coma. Someone made a joke about wanting to fuck her, as was common with teenage boy banter, and this was his comeback. That his sister was in a coma at the time. This was enough to make people back off and apologize, and the kid in question even started crying over it. Convincing and all. But I was friends with this kid and I knew his family, and I knew that his sister was in fact not in a coma. But, as I said, he did occasionally tell one-off lies. One that comes to mind was he lied about how he got an injury. I was with him when he got it. He was chasing someone, fun and games, and fell and scrapped his hand. That weekend, we all went airsofting together. When we came out we were examining our blisters from getting shot and he presented this scab. Not sure if you've ever played airsoft, but it does not give you scabs. I mentioned that was the cut he got from falling when he was chasing our other friend, and he claimed his mum put a cream on it that made it heal overnight, but the skin was weaker in that area, so when it got hit by the pellet the skin opened and left an already day-old cut that was identical to the one he had previously. I was halfway through writing that when I realized that you never asked, but I kinda got away from myself. Oh, well. I had to work with a guy like that. It's an ice cream place, and orders get put on the counter when they get made. A lot of things can look fairly similar, so I'd often have to ask this guy what they were, and he loved lying to my face about it. So I start thinking that they made the wrong order or something, only to find out that he was just bullshitting me. God, I hated that guy. People who don't even try to listen or get to know you. Like some of your friends introduce you to someone and you try to form a conversation with them and they ignore you and start to talk over you, or when they give you the look. I find it baffling that some people just don't want to meet new people. Even the most introverted people I know always make an effort to get to know somebody they've just met. If somebody's just not interested in getting to know new people, I think they are just missing out. I totally agree with you. I, myself, am a really quiet and introvert person, but I always want to even try to know more people and maybe make new friends. But these people who don't and try to ignore you or give you the signal don't talk to me, I'm not interested, intimidate me. In a way it can be intimidating, but I just see it as them missing out. It's their choice, not mine. So they've sacrificed their right to complain if they have no friends. Harsh as it may sound, I used to be that way until my mid-teens. Then I realized that's probably why I don't have much company. I changed my ways, and being more open to interacting with new people and experiences. Gradually I'm now beginning to pass for very outgoing. I still have my introverted ways, but if I'm meeting a new set of people, or some members of my girlfriend's family I've never met before, I make an effort to know them. My girlfriend and her family appreciates it because I go out of my way to try and get to know them, rather than stick in the corner on my phone avoiding all contact. My shithead neighbor took a wine course and called a bottle of $21 wine brought over for dinner swill. Coming from somebody who is a big fan of wine, people like your neighbor are snobby assholes and give us all wine enthusiasts a bad name. That's just blatant disrespect. Agreed. I've been in the wine industry my entire adult life and the pretentious ones ruin it for everyone. I have worked with, and currently work directly for, A master sommelier. They are legit the most open, welcoming folks in the industry. Earlier this week I was working an event at a location known for being one of the best in the country for their in-house selection of incredible wine. It's usually regulars and we're all like a family. This time there were a couple groups of first timers and they were unimaginably rude and over the top snobby. Like one lady took a sip of wine and spit it out directly back into her glass, declaring it awful. Like, okay lady, you're not impressing anyone here. I had a couple of sommeliers come into my work. They took one sniff of every wine on the menu and refused to drink it because it was too alcoholic. When we specialize in ripened fruit, ranges from 15 to 16.8%. Basically the only metaphor I can think of is shopping for a Prius at a dealership with all trucks. I have to imagine they were certified sommeliers, which is the very first level of being able to actually call yourself a sommelier. There's so many of them, it's impossible to police. The governing body, Court of Master Sommeliers, not only focuses upon knowledge, but also the overall character of the individual before they earn the title of master. I happen to know one particular person who is an advanced sommelier, level 3, and has tried for their master multiple times, but they are so arrogant and mean-spirited that they will likely never be granted the title. If they complain about their life problems, but don't make an effort to change whatsoever, those people are eliminated from my life now. My ex was like that and it drove me crazy cause I can't stand listening to so much negativity. My ex is like that. She never saw the bright side. Faking depression, bipolar, anxiety, etc. One-uppers, animal abusers, or people who think that animals are just objects and mistreat them. There's so many long stories behind each of these things. Would you be as kind to write out some of the stories? Since someone already talked about the disorders, I'll talk about people who mistreat animals. I knew someone who was a pretty decent person during the 3 years I knew them. But when they so got a rabbit, they just completely abused the poor rabbit. Never fed him the correct diet, barely gave him water, never paid attention to him, and shouted at him if he made noise. I never talked to them again. But I found out from a mutual friend that their so left them and took the rabbit. Another story is that friend's dad also hit her dog and threw him against the walls if he barked, but luckily he's okay now with a good owner. I genuinely can't understand the mindset of anyone who would hurt an animal. An animal never intends to annoy you, and domestic pets usually just love you unconditionally and need you to care for them. It's like people don't understand that they let these animals into their lives and became their caregivers. Like that comes with the responsibility of the animal's well-being and happiness. I feel the same. I'd do anything for my pets, and even though they are not humans, I feel like they are my best friends and I can trust them more than some people. If that makes sense. I feel like they are there for me when my friends aren't. Those who think their opinion holds more weight than others. For example, music snobs / music shamers. I hate this so much. I'm generally not much of a fan of music. There is a small selection of music that I really fucking love. Almost nothing that I hate. Everything else falls into the it's fine category. And I have a friend. Someone I've been close to for years. He's genuinely a good guy. Most of the time. But he is super into music. And constantly recommends his favorite songs. The couple of times I have mentioned a song or a band I like, he usually says something like, oh, you would like them, wouldn't you? Or you know, by definition, those two genres are incompatible. Right, so now I just don't ever talk to him about music, or pay attention to his recommendations. It's clear that he doesn't actually want a conversation like that. He just wants to tweet his opinions at me and have the same opinion retweeted back at him in real time. Sorry brother, it's not worth my time. Or yours. Two genres are incompatible. Huh. He sounds annoying as hell. I'm very similar to you about music. I used to love it, but had an abusive ex so stopped listening to music for about 5 years. So my music taste is a few years late. I'm okay with that. It's only in the last year I can listen to music at all. And I've heard people grandstand music to me like that guy does to you. Let us listen to our tunes. Tantrums. Arrogance. True story. I was once at a party with a partner and his mates. I said, can we play some other music? And a friend said, Zenchik. Which one of us has a degree in music? God, what an arrogant prick. People who treat waiters/waitresses like shit. The way people treat people they don't need to be polite to is a good indicator of them as a person. If you want to know what a man's like, take a good look at how he treats his inferiors, not his equals. Sirius Black. That's pretty fucking rich coming from a dude who treated a literal slave like dog shit. And he paid dearly for that. His godson ended up learning from his mistake. The expert in every situation. Their view is right. And if yours doesn't line up with their view, you're wrong. People who take tragedies, natural or man-made, and try and turn them into part of a political agenda, or saying it is part of God's will. Like that guy who said coronavirus was Allah's punishment. Bragging. Probably different from everyone else, but anyone who feels the need to brag about their grades or what classes they take. I'd agree. I mean, there's a difference between saying you're happy you did well and bragging about stuff. I hate it when people act like they're better than me because of a specific course they take, especially when it's really similar to mine. The smartest people I've met, school-wise, don't feel the need to brag about their grades. I had to retake a year at school due to personal circumstances, and in both of year groups I was in the really smart people would never brag or put people down for their grades by they were snobby in regards to what subjects people were doing. Things like media studies, or business studies or any tech were mocked and frowned upon. It was sort of jokingly. They weren't really trying to put anyone down for taking those subjects, but they genuinely did feel superior for doing subjects like chemistry and physics and maths. When they can't accept the fact they fucked up and put the blame on everyone else. Gossiping. Because if they do that to someone else when you are around, it's just a matter of time they will talk behind your back. It makes me feel like I have to walk on eggshells around a person if I know they talk badly about most people around them. A fondness of the Confederate flag and or any Nazi or white supremacist iconography/dog whistle. People who insist that you need to forgive your abuser to heal. Apostrophe. You absolutely don't need to forgive them. I can heal so much more from never talking to / thinking about that person ever again. People who call my special interests childish or stupid. For example, I love Steven Universe and Pokemon and Star Trek and they make me feel safe and comfortable. But the moment someone mentions that they're stupid or childish, I instantly feel sick to my stomach and I no longer want to talk to them because it sticks in my mind forever. I love Pokemon so much. There's nothing wrong with liking those things as an adult. You're not hurting anyone. Usually these things are just genuinely enjoyable and people act like you have to only like coffee and the news as an adult. Lol. They ride a motorcycle with loud pipes. People who have loud vehicles whatsoever, whether it's a super loud engine or blaring music, it instantly makes me hate them. Take comfort in knowing your dick is bigger than this. Condescending. How you are wrong. Floxin or synahilipilification. Floxin, or what the fuck does that mean? It's the word describing your post. It's a real word, the longest in the English dictionary that's unscientific. Racism. Hey, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.